Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. It's Way T Lightheart back on track here for the Prosperity and Health Alliance. Happy to be here broadcasting during the eclipse from Sedona, Arizona. Happy to be here. I hope you guys are ready for a rockin' show tonight. We're gonna deal with something that I think is what I call the big white elephant in the room. And what I mean by that is every single person who gets involved in a NAGIC or in any business are going to come up against something, and that is the fear of selling. At certain point, and it disguises itself in a lot of different ways. It disguises itself as lethargy, unwillingness to take action, blame, condemnation. It comes up as low self-esteem. It comes off as, I don't want to do this. I want to be pushy or salesy, or I don't want to be persuasive. There's a lot of different forms that fear comes, because what happens when people have fear, they will create a projection in their lives or in their business or in their relationships. And it's to cover up. It's to cover up the basic fact that I'm uncomfortable doing an action. And the bottom line is nothing happens in this business unless you make sales. The company doesn't work, the machines don't get built, the products don't get shipped, the customers don't get their benefits, and you don't get the benefits of helping them overcome their challenges. That's the reality. So tonight on the Prosperity and Health Alliance, we're going to dive into this. And before we do, I want to share something with everybody here. I can remember specifically a long time ago when I had a major aversion to sales. I didn't like salesmen. I didn't trust salespeople. I thought they were evil and greedy and negative. I had a bad attitude about it. I just really would build up a big, fat, ugly, hairy story about why selling was bad. And, you know, over the years, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of great salespeople and a lot of great business people. And I learned the power of learning how to sell, and learning how to sell in a way that's serviceful. Learning a way to sell that makes people feel good, that helps people overcome their challenges. And the bottom line is, if you are going to be great at a NAGIC, if you are going to build a world-class business, if you're going to get something that's going to take care of you and the people that you love, you've got to knock this one out of the park. And I'm going to show you tonight, and I'm excited about this, is that I'm going to show you some things that I've used in my own life to help me overcome the fear of selling, and to the point where I absolutely love selling. I love it. I can't wait. In fact, if that's all I could do, it'd be great. I really enjoy it, and I see the benefits of it. So if I can do this, if I can completely transform my life and my belief systems and my upbringing and my programming and completely turn around, I know that you can too. So let's get into it. Hopefully you got a pen and paper, because I'm going to ask you some questions here in just a second that are really important. But before we do, I want to share with you, what are we going to learn today? What's the promise? Is that if you do what I suggest that you do, and some of you on this line will do this, and some of you won't, but if you do this, here's my promise. You're going to find that selling is fun, it's empowering, and it's helpful to just about every single field in your life, whether it's relationships, whether it's jobs, whether it's getting along in your community, whether it's making more money, whether it's helping other people, whether it's just navigating negative situations. Selling is incredible. What does it provide? It'll provide you better income, better relationships, and a better life. Family, friends, and future generations. The benefits of becoming great at sales will help you and your family. It will help you acquire and keep more friends, and more importantly, it creates prosperity for not just you, but future generations. Not just your own immediate family, but because the world, as people sell more. It's called the velocity of money. More sales means more money moves around and exchange hands. And that velocity of money means more people become wealthy. It's not about how much money is in the system. It's how quickly money changes hands. So if everybody's selling, if everybody is making deals, if everybody is enjoying the process, everybody prospers. It's only when people shut down from it that they don't get it. And finally, what does it mean when you become great at sales, when you become a master of sales? It's the ultimate security in an uncertain world. When you have the ability to sell, you know that it doesn't matter where you go, what you do, what product, what place, wherever you can go, you have an ability to communicate the benefits of your product or service to other people, and you can assist them to overcome whatever objections they might be. So let's get into it. And before we do, just so you know, I'm here in Sedona, Arizona. I'm outside at Whole Foods. As I always travel, I always go to Whole Foods. That's one of my favorites. So you might hear a little background noise, but we apologize. I just keep going anyways, because part of living the laptop lifestyle and what Enagic provides is that you can work anytime, any place, anywhere. And I'm grateful for that, and I would love for nothing better than you to do this. So I've got 3 big questions here. And you need to write these down. Write down the questions because I want you to think about them after this presentation. And that is, what does sales or selling mean to you? What does sales really mean to you? And you can look at that from a variety of different things. The feeling of when you're buying something. How many people here like to buy something? Like really, like you just went into the store, you looked at all the right clothes, you saw the piece that you want, and you bought it, and you walked out of the store with your prize. Did you feel good? Yeah, of course you did. Or maybe you bought a new car, or maybe you bought a new home, or it could be anything. Generally, there is a biochemical release that when you make a sale or you purchase something, you feel good. So why is it that a lot of people, when they think of sales, they have a negative connotation? Think about that for a minute. So I can't tell you what sales means to you, but what does sales mean to you? Does it mean more prosperity? Does it mean, do you think of, oh, I got to talk to too many people? What is it? What does sales mean to you? And your definition of this is going to determine a lot. It's going to determine a lot about where your programming was, and it's also going to determine where you need to go in your business or in your skill set. Okay? So there's no right or wrong answer. I just want you to write these down. What does sales mean to you? Second, have you ever had a great sales experience? I want you to think about the time that maybe you went to a store, you went to a restaurant, you maybe went to a resort, or you had a world-class salesperson. Think of a time when you went somewhere and spent your hard-earned money with someone and felt absolutely fantastic, and you maybe said to your spouse or to your friend or to your kids or to whoever you were with, friend, you said, you know what, that was amazing. That waiter was incredible, or that car salesman was fantastic. The person selling the insurance was just so caring and so really helped me relieve things. Think about a time when you had something that was causing you pain in your life, a problem, a challenge, and a salesperson helped you solve that problem by selling you a product or a service that fixed your problem. Think about that. What was it like? What was the experience? How did they communicate with you? What did they do when you had objections or you had challenges? Maybe you needed a better credit rating, or maybe you weren't sure if you could get the extra insurance for the car or the extended warranty, or whatever it happens to be. Think about that. Think about the little mini objections that you actually had in that sale and how the salesperson overcame it. Or how you maybe went into the restaurant and you were going in for dinner, and all of a sudden it was such an amazing experience, how the way they sat you down at the table and the way they took your order. You had a drink and then maybe an appetizer, and then the main course came, and then there was some suggestions around this, and they just took care of everything, and then they brought you an extra dessert, and you stayed there and had some extra coffees and post cocktails, and then they just give you some chocolates, whatever it happened to be. Think about that great experience. What was it like? And I would like for you to take some time and to think about that in depth and write it down. Okay, so you might not get to that tonight, like right at this call, because we're going to go through this fairly fast, but I want you to think about this. At least write down these questions and go through it. Finally, have you ever had a poor experience? Have you ever walked into a place where you were ignored? You wanted to spend money and someone ignored you. Or maybe you wanted a certain product and somebody really was trying to get you out of it when you didn't want to. Or maybe you had someone that was really pushy and you didn't feel loved or connected, or you felt that this person didn't care. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to think about what was that experience? What did it feel like? What did the person say to you? How did they treat you? What was the setting like? What was the environment like? The smells, the sights, all of the little sensory inputs that you could think of. And you can compare that to the first experience. So try and make these pictures or experiences, you want to make them as real as you can and write about them. Because what's going to happen in here is you're going to see the clues between a positive sales experience and a negative sales experience. And you're also going to see what sales means to you. And inside of this, you're going to learn a lot about your own psychology around selling, and then how you can change that. Will actually reveal itself just with those questions. You'll actually see that there's good sales experiences and bad sales experience, and there are earmarks to creating them, and you can actually determine this from your own experience, because what you might not realize is you're already an expert on sales. You're already an expert. You know how a great sales experience feels. You've experienced it. And you also know how a bad experience feels. So all you need to do is replicate the feelings in the other person of a great sales experience, because they're probably fairly similar to yourself. Now, let's talk about selling from a different perspective. Let's talk about what comes up for you. Fear. What does fear come? Fear that I'm being pushy, fear that they're going to reject me, fear that I'm going to be seen as a fool, that I'm going to be stupid, that I'm dumb, that I'm non-integrous. All of these things brings up fear. And what does fear really stem from? Essentially, it's loss of social status. You see, in ancient cultures, if you were ostracized from your tribal community, it meant certain death. So we built these fallacious fear mechanisms that we take forward into this world because we don't want to piss anybody off. Excuse my language, but that's just the way it is. We don't want to upset anybody. We don't want to make the tribe members happy. We want to make sure that we fit in. Yet, we also admire the leaders of the tribe, and the leaders of the tribe are always great salespeople. They're able to communicate their ideas, their values, their beliefs to a greater group, their direction, their vision to the group, and people follow them. So there's a great way to sell. And then there's other people that try to coerce people or make people that sort of stuff, and that's a painful way. So fear comes up that we don't want to be coercive and that we're not persuasive. So recognize that. And what I would say is this: when you first starting out, and you get involved in a sale, or you're going to make a sale, or especially when you're starting out, and this is one of the reasons I recommend you go with other distributors or go through that process if you can, because what I would encourage you to realize is when you feel that extra energy, a lot of people think it's fear. It's not fear. It's a heightened sense of awareness. It's the anticipation. It's your super self. It is the electrical flow of energy through your body, your mind, your senses that is ready to harness the energy of that experience and to share it and to transmit it to somebody else. What's happening is their anticipation, their desire, and what they want is waiting to be fulfilled, and you're the person that is going to fulfill it, and that creates a greater flow of energy. And you learn this in sports. Military people learn this in battle. And how do you handle the fear? How do you handle this heightened sense of awareness? It's skills. We'll talk about that in a minute. As you develop skills, if you go to the military, I mean, you're going to run at people that are shooting guns and trying to blow you up with all kinds of different things. You're going to feel a lot of fear. So what does the military do? They train and they train and they train and they train and they train. So when you get in those situations, you just respond. You go through your skill set, you apply those things, and you go out there. Same thing with firefighters, same thing with police officers, same things with medical doctors. You know, people are coming in on a late night shift, open, you know, bleeding in a car accident and stuff, and they're in there. They're not. Imagine you're holding somebody's heart in your hand, or you're going to sew them back up so they don't die. Can you imagine? Well, what allows those people to overcome the fear of that? Skills. And they take that energy and they get a heightened sense of awareness and they can flow with energy. Now, finally, let's go to the next thing. So think about this, and I would like for you to reframe that energy that comes up especially when you first start out. It's not fear you're feeling, it's a heightened sense of awareness, and you're going to harness that energy with skill sets. And those skill sets are going to take that energy and direct it in the direction that's going to help you and help your client and help your family and the world at large. Next section. Self-interest versus service. And this, in my opinion, really separates the experience. If you're coming from a position of self-interest, I got to make this sale, I got to make this commission, people smell it, they feel it, and it's going to affect you, and it's going to impair your ability to communicate the value of your product. People are going to pick that up. They're going to pick the energy up. So how you deal with that is very, very important. And what I suggest, the easiest way is to get out of your head and go to your heart. And that is to go to service. And I think Mr. Oshiro does an amazing job at Enagic of showing people how to be in their hearts and to be of service. And how do you do that? Well, number one, you still need to develop the skills. And you're going to develop those over time. You never stop learning. You never stop growing. You know, there's so much more I'd love to learn about sales. And I continue to study books on sales to integrate, and I watch great salespeople, and I learn from great salespeople, and I spend time with great salespeople so I can improve my skill set. But as you build the skill set up, these are what I call head skills. You know, it's techniques, or how to handle objections, or how to follow the flow, and that stuff. And those are all well and important. But when they become magic is when you're in a position of service, when you're coming from a heart, when you know that you've got to make this sale not for you, but because this person absolutely needs your product. They can afford your product. They want their product, and you're going to help them overcome whatever limiting buying beliefs that they might have, because that's all that's holding them back from purchasing it, is a limiting buying belief. Like, they can't afford it. My wife will be unhappy, or my spouse will be unhappy if I purchase this. It's too much money. My friends will think I'm an idiot, even though they might want it. So when you're addressing the objections, know that they're coming up, is that this is the service part. This is the part where you move into your heart. And by doing that, it gives you unlimited power. It gives you, people can feel that you legitimately care for them. And I always use the example of my mom. It's kind of funny. Now, my mom has never taken any sales training at all, but she has a great heart. So when people come around to the house, she'll take out her fresh baked rolls, and she'll take out her wares, maybe her fresh made jams that she did earlier, or maybe some vegetables that she brought out of the garden, and she'll be like, "Oh, can I interest you in some fresh baked rolls? Or how would you like, I just made a pie last night, and I thought someone might come in, and I'm so happy, and it's your favorite one." My mom comes from her heart, and nobody can resist her. Nobody. Because it's not about her, it's about the other person and making them feel good. And my mom lives an amazing life because she comes from service. You can too in your business. And I want to get to the next part, and that is follow-up versus follow-through. In salesmanship, you'll hear all the books and all the tapes and all the stuff. You got to follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up. So what does that mean? Fortune's in the follow-up. Well, When you say the fortune is in the follow-up, a lot of people say, okay, I got to contact this many times before I make the sale. And the number is 5 to 6 times. That's usually what it takes to close a sale. You got to go through 5 or 6 no's, 5 or 6 objections before you get to that sweet spot. So are you just following up? Are you mechanically saying, oh, it's Tuesday, I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Now, you'll get results from that. You'll get results from following up. But what I'm talking about here is following through. What does following through mean versus following up? Following through means doing what you said you were going to do long after the feeling goes away that you felt when you said you were going to do it. So that means if you said, I'm going to deliver water to you for the next 3 weeks, you deliver water the next 3 weeks, no matter what. When you say, after the person purchases a machine, hey, you know what, I'm going to come over and help show you use the machine, how you use the vegetables, and I'm going to help you. And this is the part that makes your business, this is where you go from a salesperson to an outstanding sales experience. When you make a sale is the biggest opportunity for you to make another sale and machine up. You show them how to do everything. You maybe provide some extra saline for them on their machine. You might give them a card that will show them what each of the waters are for so that they remember. You might demonstrate specifically how to do certain things. And at that point, you create just a magnificent experience. You follow up a couple days after, a few days after, you say, hey, by the way, did you get all that stuff? Did you make sure everything? Maybe you bring them some extra Enagic bottles so that you do something that's unexpected and delightful. And you do this repeatedly over time. You do it the next week, in the next month, and you check in on them. You say, by the way, we've got a new sale coming out on filters. You can save yourself maybe 20%. You're going to need a filter next year, or all that sort of stuff. And learning how to follow through is what people are going to remember you by, because it wasn't just I made the sale and you moved on. You made the sale, but you followed up. You built a friend. You kept that relationship going, and you created a magnanimous moment with that person where they realized that you were there for more than just the sale. You were there to help service them. And from that, they are going to tell people about your product and service. When people come to their house and ask about the machine, they're going to say, yes, I got that machine from so-and-so. And you know, it was great. Yes, it cost me $5,000, but they came over, they showed me how to do it. Look how I can do the vegetables. Look how I can make the 2.5 water. Look how I can use these different waters therefore, and I have a little chart, and I know which vegetables to wash, and I know how to cook my spaghetti properly using the right water, or steam my rice. And by the way, and they came back again, and I get filters, and they check out, they sent me a little card and thanked me. They also invited me to meeting. I sent a friend over to them, and they sent me a check as a referral. It's been an incredible person. This person is amazing, and you know what? I'm thinking this year, I'm thinking I'm going to get the shower unit from them. People do this. People do this on the power of the experience you have. And, you know, it's really remarkable. One of the reasons why we created the Prosperity and Health Alliance is because the business grew so big, I wasn't able to follow up directly with my people in my organization, and it really bothered me. And they were all over the world, and I thought, well, how do I create an experience? How do I answer their questions? And it was, let's create the Prosperity and Health Alliance, and let's start educating people in these important things. This is the difference of following up and following through. No one told me to do this on my sales sheet or how to train people. And you know what? I was in Vegas last week, and there were some people in another organization in Enagic that I've never met before. And they came up to me and said, hey, well, you know what? I really appreciate you doing the Prosperity and Health Alliance. That's because it's follow through. I'm not saying that to brag or anything, but I'm just saying you get these surprising feedbacks that people are watching and you don't even know. I didn't know that people were watching. And what did one of these people do? They introduced me to someone else that may be a benefit to my business. Totally unexpected, unrelated, didn't have any intention, never met the person in the world, and they were over there introducing me to people because they felt that I had done something to help them. That's the law of reciprocity. That's the law of service. Okay? Now, let's go to the next piece. There are what I call the 3 S's that you have to develop in order to be successful in selling and overcoming any fear. Number one, selection. You need to learn how to qualify your prospects. If you don't know how to qualify your prospects, you will not be able to be successful. You're just not going to be able to do it. And realize that not everybody's qualified to buy your product. Number one, can they afford it? Number two, do they want it? Number three, do they need it? Okay? And do they have the ability to take action? You've got to determine this in your selection process. Some people call it prospecting. Okay, so in other words, you need to qualify if this is the right fit for your product or service. Okay, so for example, I've seen a lot of people who have busy lives and they just want to buy the water machine. They don't want to build a business. They just want the water machine. You need to quickly assess they just want the water machine and get that and service that and take care of that. And then there's some people that, you know, they want to build a business. You got to focus on that side. You got to listen and ask questions. And this is a process, and maybe the biggest important thing that you can develop is the selection prospect, learning how to qualify your prospects. Skills. At the end of the day, nobody would expect someone in the NFL or someone in baseball or hockey or any professional sport to be able to win if they didn't spend time developing the skills, right? The thing is, the greater the development of your skill set, the more the world will reward you. And there is no more lucrative profession than selling. It's the highest paid program in the world. Most people don't realize that Bill Gates is not the greatest programmer in the world. He's a fantastic salesman. Steve Jobs was not the greatest programmer in the world. He's a fantastic salesman. And that's what allowed them to rise to the top. Jordan Belfort talks about that in Wall Street. He said, the heart of Wall Street is not stocks, it's sales. Think about it. Most sales positions to work on commission, and a great salesperson will make more than a highly skilled technician every single time. Why? Because a lot of people have fear around this because they don't take the time to develop the skills. And if you invest a little bit of time each day and each week to develop your skills, to read the books, take the courses, go to a weekend training, learn from the masters of the craft, we're going to talk about those in a minute, you will start to build a toolbox of skills that will allow you to overcome every single objection that's out there. You'll be able to overcome it, and you won't even have to think about it. You'll just automatically do it. So is it worth it developing skills? Yes. Does it take time? Yes. I've been working on my sales skills for now almost, it's what, 19 years. 19 years. And I still feel that I have so much more to learn. And I was at some events and I watched some master salespeople recently, last weekend in Las Vegas, and I can tell you, I was just like, wow, and when someone who's really great at sales makes you feel good about the sale. And finally, the final piece, and I touched on this before, service. Realize that good salesmanship helps people who need, love, and can benefit from your product overcome limiting buying beliefs. This is key. When you realize that selling is about servicing people, that servicing them and helping them overcome objections to a product that is going to help them. And you got to realize that the only reason why people reject your product or service or whatever is because they have a limited buying belief. Because if everybody bought from everybody, the velocity of money would be incredible, and guess what? Everybody would get products, services, and everything all around the world, because it would be changing hands. And the only thing that keeps people from not doing that is fear. And if you're a great salesman, you know that you can make another sale tomorrow. So you'll always be prosperous. Now, let's look at something that's really going. One of the things that people mistake is they mistake objections for rejections. When someone brings up an objection to purchasing your product, people take it personally and feel that they're being rejected, and that activates the amygdala, that old reptilian brain that means, oh no, I'm going to be ostracized from the tribe. What you have to realize is when someone throws you an objection, that means that they're interested, they're listening. In fact, Most of the great salespeople say that the sale doesn't even start until you get to the objection. You've got to ferret out what the objections are and then overcome it. That's the difference in skills. So going back to this, objection versus rejection, reframing that you expect those objections, you expect people to come have challenges, but you're just going to move past it and keep moving forward. And you expect those and plan for it. So which leads me to the next part. Expect and plan versus hope and pray. Most people going into sales or making a thing, they're hoping and they're praying that the person buys, as opposed to expecting that there are going to be obstacles or objections to the sale and planning to solve those in an efficient. Going in on hope and prayers, that means that you don't have a sales strategy, you don't have a sales skill, and then you need to develop it. And these are learnable things. And when you learn these, you'll realize it and you'll be like, oh, well, that's so, and I know what to do, I know what to say. And then you can review each time that you go and you realize that, hey, you know what? Not everybody's going to buy, not everybody should buy, but each and every experience you're going to get valuable lessons from. So take the first 100 pitches and realize that's just getting you warmed up. Now, the final thing is you've got to be able to create an outstanding experience before, during, and after the sale. One of the things is to learn how to make an outstanding and fun presentation that makes people feel good. You need to learn how to enjoy the process, be happy about it, be relaxed inside of it, and then after the sale, not just follow up, follow through and deliver an outstanding experience after the sale, thanking the person for that sale, making sure that other things, giving them an extra bonus that they didn't unexpect, letting them know about other features and stuff. And sometimes I've missed the boat on these ones. I want to say that there's a lot of areas that I could improve on. So I'm not here to do this. I do these things to remind myself. Oh, sometimes I do this and I go, oh man, I didn't do that this time. Oh, and so I'm thinking of someone right now that I didn't follow through with, and it's like it's driving me crazy because now I'm going to get after this call and I'm going, you know what, I got to follow through and create that outstanding experience. I haven't done that. So this is not about a judgment. This is just about making things really smooth and easy for yourself. And finally, I want to bring you to what I call the masters of the game. And some of the people that I've been able to develop or learn from and experience. First one, Og Mandino. And I think this is really good for people who have a spiritual practice, or because it's a really interesting, it's kind of a story taken back in time. Og Mandino called it the world's greatest salesman, and it's about the journey of a boy, who's a poor boy, who's part of a camel caravan, who goes off and gets these scrolls, and these scrolls are these rules of salesmanship and what it takes to be a great salesman, and it's in a beautifully written course, one of the greatest sales books ever. And I think what it does is it allows you to understand what it takes to develop the skill. Another great book that I learned from was another master salesman. You can watch some of his videos on YouTube. Zig Ziglar, he's got a book. He's got a lot of books, but one of them was Secrets of Closing the Sale. And that was just about the experience and technique. He started off door to door in a multi-level marketing company, I think it's Salad Master, where he was selling, pots and pans door to door. That's where he got started. Brian Tracy. I'm not always partial to Brian Tracy's stuff. His stuff doesn't suit me, but I recognize the mastery that he has in his ability to really eloquently sell. He's kind of an old school type person, but very, very smooth, very, very and well received, and very, very skill oriented. Incredible. The guy that probably made the most benefit to me in my career was a fellow by the name of T. Harv Eker. He had a course, Peak Potential, so I think he sold the company. And I was just this weekend, I was with a lady who makes $8 million a year. That's what she did last year. And she learned the same skill set from T. Harv Eker that I did and trained the trainer. And basically, he has a process for selling from the stage. And I've used that, and that course, which I took many, many years ago, has made me millions of dollars. And it's helped tens of thousands of people. I cannot tell you the value. I paid $5,000 for the course. I probably got, I don't know, a 2,000x return or something. I don't even know how big the return is. It was so great. And she said the same thing. And it was so interesting. And Kaylin Rush was the woman's name who trained with Harv for many, many years. And, you know, 8 million. And Harv's a tough love guy. You got to see past some of his tough love to actually get to the value. But at the end of the day, his process is amazing. And then finally, the person that put me over the top that I think that really, really helped me was Jordan Belfort. For those of you who don't know, he was the guy that the movie The Wolf on Wall Street was made about. And a lot of people never read the second book in that series. The Wolf on Wall Street was the second book, was the follow-up with all the what happened in his recovery and how he transformed his life and the challenges that he had and what he went through because he didn't follow the integrous path of salesmanship. And he came around, and then eventually he developed a straight line persuasion course, which has been absolutely awesome. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that has broken down the sale better than Jordan Belfort. The process, the techniques, and he's got a great course. It's a couple $1,000 online. I highly recommend it. And just watch those videos and listen to those audios over and over and over again. And I was just commenting to one of my friends yesterday about how so much of his languaging is now built into my own vernacular, my own communication, my own, I don't even think about it because he's so good at teaching it. I just automatically do it. And since I've taken his course, it's probably, it's been over 2x, maybe even 3x my income. So Jordan has been amazing. And these aren't the limits. And if there's anybody else that you don't like or whatever, they're not for everybody, but you want to go and find a sales course for you, and you want to study that, and you want to work it until you become great. So we're closing it. Whoop, we're coming up. Hang on one second. So here's what I want you to look at. In overcoming the fear of selling, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Number 1, what sales training program are you going to commit to today? What sales training program are you going to commit today? I would like for you to take the time and say, you know what, Wade, I'm going to go out and there's a sales course that I looked at. I thought, oh, I don't know, it's too much money. You're going to take it. Decide right now which one you're going to do, or that you're going to go out and do that, but decide that you're going to take a sales training program because you need one. Everybody needs one. I'm still going through sales programs. No pro athlete would stop training. They train and they practice day after day, way more than they play. They practice more than they play. So the question is, what program are you going to start practicing on? Now, the next thing I want to ask you, what is the benefit to this? Think about it. What is the benefit if you committing to a sales program? Imagine right now that you could make selling fun. You could make it profitable. You could make it feel good for you and for your customers. What would your life be like? What would happen if you could go out and sell either the product or our business virtually to anybody, anywhere, at time? Even half the people, even a third of it, even a tenth of the people that you. What if you knew that every 5, 6 people that you spoke to, you were going to close 1 or 2 of them? What would that do for your life? Imagine if you could double or triple the amount of machines moving through your business. And imagine if your team got this. Imagine if everybody on your team or half the people on your team started doing this. What would that translate for you in profits and value and legacy? How many people would you help in the world? Think about that for a second. And then finally, what is the cost if you don't? What happens if you hang up this call and you say, oh, wow, that was a great webinar, and you go flick on Game of Thrones? Not to say that Game of Thrones isn't a great show. Everybody tells me it's a great show. I haven't seen it. Why haven't I seen it? Because I'm working my sales process. And one day, maybe I'll watch Game of Thrones. And I'm not saying to do that, but the question is how are you going to spend your time? You have the time. Probably most everybody watches an hour or so of television a day. What if you watched an hour of Jordan Belfort every day, or an hour of Og Mandino, or an hour of T. Harv Eker? What would happen then? What is the cost if you don't? How old are you right now? When is the time that you want to do the things that you want to do? When do you want to take that vacation? When do you want to have that car? When do you want to take that trip? When do you want to say yes to that person or ask that person that special thing? When do you want to help your family? When do you want to help your parents, your kids? When do you want to do that thing that you've always said you haven't had enough money to that you're going to do one day? What's the cost? The bottom line is you are with a global business with points of sales and service all around the globe. Literally, you can sell a product or a service to anybody. Do you know what? I'll give you a story. Just a couple of days ago, last week, while I was attending a sales course, I got a phone call from a person in Europe who said, hey, I've watched what you're doing. I want to get started with your company. What business can you do that? And this isn't the first time this happens. This happens to me on a regular basis. People contact me from around the world, and it can happen to you. And I want this to happen to you. And how it happens to you is you go out there and you learn these skills and you build yourself a great program and you get your skill set up so well and that you create such amazing experiences. People that you've never met hear about you and your team and want to be a part of it. That is where you can be. And when you do it, it is an amazing experience. You do not fear fear. You feel a heightened sense of awareness. You feel a heightened sense of service. When that person calls you, you're thinking, how do I best help this person? How do I help this person grow their business? How do I help them get more machines? How do I help them? Whatever. That's the attitude. And I find the greatest lives are built from that service. But if you don't do it, you won't get to experience the beauty of selling and what it can do for you. So ask yourself those questions. What sales training program are you going to commit to today? What is the benefit of committing to this? And what is the cost if you don't? And I want you to put those over those questions that we started at the very, very first of this talk. Okay? And think about that and look at your sales psychology. Write it down. And then decide today that you're going to make that difference and you're going to take that course. You're going to go to that place and you're really going to drill down on this particular skill because that's you're just a few skills away from having a $1 million business. You're just a few skills away from that next rank in an adjunct. You're just a few skills away from paying off those bills, those credit cards, those mortgages, those pain points in your life. You're just a few skills away. It's so close to you. And I want you to have it. I want you to take that. So with that, we're going to turn it over to questions and answers in regards to this. So first off, I want to thank you for this. So it's always a pleasure to see so many people on the line and to see this. And I see that people are watching the videos and spreading around the world and teaching the teams. It's been awesome, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you going out there and just putting the work in for Nagic, for your own business, and I really appreciate the benefits that I receive from it. It's awesome, and I hope that I can help you a little bit each and every week with this. I love you, I care about you, and I'm grateful for the work that you're doing. And believe me, when I put these together, I think about each and every person. I think about the problems and challenges that I experienced. I think about the objections that I faced, and my team members. Like I've been where you are right now. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, and that's why I believe in developing these skills will make such a big difference in your life. So with that, we'll go back over to questions and answers.